Now for a little bit of news. Okay. I was looking at the headline real quick, and I haven't had a chance to look at the Sunday paper. But Nunez, hold it up, read that. Nunez clemency departs for Schwarzenegger. So Nunez is the son of some politician, and I guess he's sort of let's see. In addition, the offender had demonstrated callous disregard for human suffering. Apparently, Nunez was with a group of guys that killed somebody at a party, and he showed a callous, and he's the son of a politician. Speaker Fabian Nunez's son Esteban. The inmates that he pardoned here says had no previous criminal record, and it said that was dominated by the former correction was that frequently gay for arresting a parole board. Okay, this is the reason why this guy was not paroled is that he showed a callous disregard for human suffering. He did the killing. The killing was over something trivial, and let's see. Oh, that happened in San Diego. Yes, I seem to remember something about that. After his friends drunkenly attacked a group of strangers on a San Diego street in 2008 after being denied entrance to a frat party. So Schwarzenegger pardoned this guy, and apparently Schwarzenegger claimed. It's these pardons, and this is the only guy, not the only guy he's pardoned. And let me just say, every governor, when they leave office, pardons somebody, okay? But this was in stark contrast to the former governor's denial of clemency for dozens of inmates involved in similar crimes. Arnold Schwarzenegger came into office being the guy that he wasn't going to be doing business as usual, and it turns out that he's pardoning more criminals or inmates than your average governor. He's going against what he said he was going to do. And Arnold Schwarzenegger should have never been governor. Okay? We had a governor named Gray Davis who was, lackluster, but he was doing his job, kept his head down. There wasn't any big controversy around him. He wasn't particularly charismatic or anything like that. But this guy, Darrell Issa, who has a criminal past, when he was younger, he was involved in some sort of car theft ring. It had something to do with his brother or something, and I think he was, I don't know if he was acquitted or he was prosecuted anyway, but I know he was involved with this thing. And he went on to become, I believe, a U.S. senator. I'll have to get back to you on that. I think he is a senator, a California senator. But Darrell Issa, he's a scumbag. And Darrell Issa thought that he wanted to be governor. And he started a petition drive to recall Gray Davis. Now, one of the bad things that happened in California is that they passed a law that people could earn money by getting people to sign petitions. Okay, so there's a cash incentive for people to get sign petitions. The people that go out and do it, and somebody can buy petition signatures, and that's what Darrell Issa did. And so Gray Davis was recalled. So then all these people came out of the woodwork to run for governor. I already mentioned before that one of my distant cousins up there in Los Angeles ran for governor, along with Gary Coleman and all these oddballs, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Darrell Issa, where Arnie ended up getting it. It turned out he'd be, in my opinion, he was a crap governor. He promised all these things. Excuse me, my Fez again. He promised all these things, and he just ran the state into the ground. And you know what? It was there were problems already. But Gray Davis was at least a competent governor. All Arnold Schwarzenegger did was put on a show. Make a lot of promises. I talked about this, I think, last week. So that's a headline that caught me. Oh, of course, here's the background where we try to explain what happens. Could we have predicted that this man descended into darkness? There he is. There he is, a nice, sweet, his ex-girlfriend said he was a sweet boy. And then, you shave your head, you're automatically a maniac. There you go. I remember this stand-up black comedian said Say like when black guys shave their head, it looks cool. When a white guy does it, it looks like a thumb. Oh my. So anyway, I saw this headline. It caught my eye. How many minutes are we going on? Better wind this up. So, organizer of gun fair is acquitted of boy's death. Okay? Organizer of gun fair. He's acquitted because this boy, let's see, how old was he? He was 8 years old. And he actually shot himself in the head with an Uzi and, at a gun expo in western Massachusetts. And so the guy that organized the gun show, apparently it was a firearms training company, co-sponsored the annual machine gun shoot and firearms expo at Westfield Sportsman Club. Okay, Christopher was shooting a 9mm micro Uzi at Pumpkins on October 26, 2008 when the gun kicked back and shot him in the head. And it says here the jury was shown a graphic video of the accident. They had it on video, taken by the boy's father, that led to a collective gasp in the courtroom. And this guy, this guy was a former Pelham, Massachusetts police chief, Edward Fleury, 53 years old, that I guess was in charge. And he was not guilty of involuntary manslaughter and 3 counts of furnishing machine guns to minors. Look, I don't think that guy should have been the one that was brought up for manslaughter charges. I think the father is the one who was responsible for that happening. And I'm not going to go into a long explanation of it, but that's it. I think it's self-explanatory. All right, so here's another thing. On the theme of guns, one of my favorite cartoons or comic strips, This Modern World. Okay, so you see this penguin that wears like the futuristic headgear. Actually, Eskimos invented sunglasses that look like that. They're actually these slits so they couldn't get snow blindness. So maybe that's the whole thing. Even though penguins don't live in the North Pole. Have you ever seen one of these drawings where penguins and polar bears are hanging out together? I think there's a Coca-Cola commercial like that. No, penguins are on the South Pole. Polar bears are on the North. All right, so here's the man. Okay, there's the man and the penguin. The man says, so I suppose you're going to try to exploit the incident in Tucson to score some cheap political point about guns. Excuse me. The penguin. Incident? You mean the assassination attempt which left 6 people dead, including a 9-year-old child. The man says, there you go with your incendiary rhetoric. You know perfectly well that if the killer hadn't had a gun, Penguin says, yes, I know. He would have killed those people with something else, lawn furniture maybe. The Penguin goes on to say, look, we have the same conversation after every gun massacre. I'm not going to change your mind, and you're not going to change mine. But relax. Your paranoid political fantasies notwithstanding, no one's going to take your guns away. Penguin goes on, barring some seismic realignment in this country, the gun control debate is all but settled. And your side won. The occasional horrific civilian massacre is just the price the rest of us have to pay. Over and over again, apparently. The man just looks at him, dumbfounded for a whole panel there. Then he says, I'm extremely offended by the way you phrase that. Penguin says, of course you are, you delicate flower. Oh, I'm laughing at a very serious subject. Look, I grew up, I've said this many, many times. I own 2 guns. My father owned a couple guns. I grew up with guns in the household, but I don't think my father had any bullets in the household. I remember when we would go shooting, we would go to the store and buy bullets, go shooting, and shoot up all the bullets. My father hunted as a child, but only to eat. He got no pleasure for it. He did not enjoy hunting as a sport. And as soon as he left the farm, he stopped. He didn't hunt after that. I used to want to tell my dad, where I lived in Albuquerque, it was not an uncommon sight to see a car come back. In those days, not everybody drove a truck. See a car come back with a deer strapped to the hood or the roof. And I would say, come on, Dad, let's go hunting. I'd see other people, And Later, when we moved to California, I got it in my head. Friends of mine would go shoot cottontail rabbits and just do it for sport, okay? Because they weren't going to eat them. A friend of mine did make some pelts out of it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. I'll make a pelt, and let the coyotes eat the rabbit, whatever. And so I went out with this friend and out this kind of farm area where there's a lot of cottontail rabbits. And I shot and killed a cottontail rabbit. Basically, I'm not bragging, but he jumped out from some tumbleweeds, and I got him the first shot. I mean, I wasn't out there shooting and missing and shooting and missing. No, I was walking through and waiting for a cottontail to jump out from some bushes. And this cottontail jumped out from some bushes, and I hit him. Of course, he didn't die right away. And I had to go up and put him out of his misery with, a point-blank shot to the head. And I got no pleasure in that. After that, I completely lost my desire for hunting, especially for killing for no reason, just for the sake of saying, oh yeah, I shot something. So yeah, up to that point, I'd never killed a bird. I mean, the only thing I ever killed were insects, of one variety, cockroach. I used to pull the legs off grasshoppers. No, it sounds bad, but they still live, but they can only crawl. And what was interesting, the leg would still kick for at least a minute after they were pulled. We'll just call it research. I don't think there was any real cruelty on my part. I just was curious. So anyway, yeah, that's something I'm confessing to you, that happened with me. So anyway, there's no getting rid of guns. I accept that. It's part of our American culture. But it's funny how some people have the idea that in the Old West, yeah, everybody carried a gun and there was no gun control. No, that's in the Wild West, out there in these small towns. I'm not saying it was a common thing, but there were many, like the local sheriff would say, there's no guns allowed within city limits. Little small town where they could control that. And anybody passing through had to turn their guns into the sheriff's office. And when they were leaving, they could pick up their guns. And that's the way they kept the town quiet. Not everybody was packing heat. And some people are saying, well, the shooter, started shooting somebody. Somebody that was packing heat could have taken him out right away. Look, I don't want to wish anything bad to happen to anybody, but I know that this has happened. It has happened, like where somebody goes in with a gun, there's a customer in the restaurant packing heat, and he stops what's going on. Okay? I have read that. But I still can't imagine in a room where everybody is packing heat, little old ladies, nervous men, people with no regard for life, essentially, somebody itching to shoot somebody, a room full of these people, everybody packing heat. What sort of chaos would ensue? I would think it would, but we haven't run into that situation yet. What is it, 2 states that have rules where you can carry like that? Florida and Arizona? That's all I'm aware of. I know in New Mexico, you can carry a sidearm. You don't really want to do it because you look like an a-hole, but you can, or you think you're like some Wild West, root 'em, toot 'em, shoot 'em. And the cowboy thing's only for the tourists, really. Well, there are rodeo people that do wear cowboy hats and Wrangler jeans and big belt buckles, and but that's not in the city, really. But yeah, but in New Mexico, you have to display your weapon. You cannot, at least last I remember, you really can't put it on the dashboard of your car and drive around, or you can't keep it under your jacket. Anyway, that's it for Fez Night. I went on a really, really long time. Here, look, I have a timer here that says 51 minutes and 39 seconds. All right, folks, have a great week. Sorry for going on so long, but